A showdown. From a blue mountain range spills an avalanche down the high peaks. Then the avalanche crashes over the foothills. And then the snow melts in heat and becomes a cascade, evaporating into mist. This takes place behind a town where the buildings are made of chewed gum. The people who live there don't notice anything peculiar. The pink buildings are normal to them. 4 friends had attended a wedding the night before. Ties are undone and shirts are stained from sweat. Not that they all bought new shirts for the occasion anyhow. They were needed to fill the church, since neither the bride nor bridegroom had many close friends and wanted the church to look full for pictures. These fellas were the good time Charlies called in to make the wedding feel like a celebration. Now, their driver struggles to park his van on the curb. "This car is junk, man. It's falling apart." "Rugs smell like mildew." The driver fends off insults and pulls the van over into an open parking spot. But when the 4 men get out of the car, the van begins to roll down a hill at a much slower rate than the avalanche. After being avoided by a bus, it comes to a high curve that is made of bubble gum, like anything else in the area, and there it rests. While the van rolled down the street, the men all yelled while feeling shock, disappointment, or restlessness. They wait longer to make sure the van is at rest. Then they walk uphill on the sidewalk. They have in mind a nice lunch. One friend does not feel good at all and turns around, saying, "I'm going to sleep in the van." One passes an old friend who he no longer talks to, who comes out of the restaurant. Neither says anything, but there's nothing wrong. It is a civilized pedestrian encounter. The group goes past the bar to the dining room and sits down. They look at menus and continue jokes they started when they woke up hungover. Then more people join them at the table. At this point, one friend notices he is cold. He is surprised to see he is wearing only his dress shirt and shorts, and he feels naked because some of the company is unfamiliar to him. He resolves to go outside, back to the van, and get on some more clothes. So he walks past the bar again, out the door, and into the sunshine. A big woman he was talking to romantically for some time is walking down the street. They both say something obvious about the surroundings to one another, and he watches her walk away. This encounter was evidence of the benefits of people having their own lives, as he was in no mood to entertain a conversation with this old fling, and he was nearly naked on the sidewalk. He continues into the van. Inside, there is the 4th friend, who is too sick to attend the lunch. He's in the trunk of the van on his back with his legs up and shoe bottoms on the ceiling. He asks, "How is it in there?" "We've met up with some more of the wedding guests, and his friend explains, "Cold, though. I've got to grab a second layer." He opens his backpack and is relieved to find he has a clean flannel and pair of pants. And he puts them on while talking to the friend who won't leave the trunk of the car. They talk about dinosaurs and what they think the next most dominant species will be after the 6th mass extinction. "Poodles, I bet," said the tired friend. "A whole earth of poodles, organizing governments and using their minds for construction." Returning to the lunch, the friend notices it is hot outside. He unbuttons one of the flannel's buttons, then he re-enters the restaurant. It was the air conditioner that made him shiver. They order their food, make sure everyone has silverware. The man who changed is now making eyes with a woman with a nest of curly hair, who is also a friend of a friend at the wedding. As they speak, one of the men confirms with another that it is in fact the pop singer Madonna, who is laying on a pillow behind a table they can see from their table. Part of Madonna is hidden behind a woman who is enormous, celestial, and something more than human, and her skin is dark like an orca's. The woman is speaking about how she feels, articulating her passions with concentration. Madonna rolls over. She looks amazing. One of the men says to the other, "To be honest, I never even noticed Madonna was naked." "That was not my first concern either," seconds his friend. Madonna sings a song only those two can hear, as if there is a performance in the back of the restaurant only they notice. The blonde starlet praised the bravery the daughter has for sharing this passion with her. Passion is good. It is beautiful. A tray of salads is brought to the table, and no one speaks as they eat. Those who ordered salads are turning over the leaves in the bowls and saying, because the lettuce and cranberries are fresh and delicious. The dressing is also delicious. No one is sure what kind of dressing is on the house salads, but they keep chewing. 20 minutes later, entrees arrive. Oniony quesadillas, steaks, and sandwiches. They have a happy lunch. By then, the avalanche from the mountains, which became a cascade, has trickled down to the town as a stream, hissing as a single drop of water touches the hot pavement, then evaporates. "I have not got it together. I have just not got it together," says a secretary, walking out of the same restaurant. Just like that, the streets quieted. She said the word. They whispered. "What word?" Then a sheriff, with big arms and legs and a rifle on his back, comes to her and says, "There is an edict here in Bubblegumville. One cannot use the word I." "This place blows," whispered a groomsman. They had finished lunch and walked into the sunlight. "How else could I express my cares?" said the secretary, who was off duty. "There are no problems here of I. We are all doing our duty not to care. We are living and fighting the evil of evils, that is, to be unlike the rest, to be I. To be I is forbidden between the hours of 12 and 2. So I can't say I? There is an edict. I've lived here for years, and I've never heard such a thing. Once more, and you are going to jail." "I said I at lunch many times," one friend whispered to another. "You can say anything, really. You've just got to watch who you're around when you say I." "The real I, though." "Yes, of course. People are always using false eyes. That's how they get away with it." "It." "Yes, the real it." The man who had stored himself in the trunk of the van looked up the hill. The sheriff wore a 10-gallon hat and spread his legs as if he straddled a horse, though there was no horse. The friend who sat out lunch knew something was fishy, and he saw there were many aspects of the reality being ignored. So he pushed open the door of the trunk. His pale body charged up the hill. He held up his finger and killed the devil in the discourse, as he was a thinker, even if it sometimes made him sick. "There's only one sheriff on the land," yelled the friend, "and that's Jesus." "Who's this wacko showing up out of nowhere?" "Thanks," said God, quietly chewing bubblegum beside a building.